Michael, are we online? Okay, right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the January 9th, 2025 public hearing of the Jefferson County Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission is charged with regulating the subdivision of property in the unincorporated areas of Jefferson County. Today, you'll be given the decision of the commission regarding any subdivision request, and the plat representative will receive the decision in writing in 10 business days. Note that any subdivision approved today is not complete. To complete it, the final plat has to be recorded in the office of the judge of probate, and county staff will coordinate with the property surveyor regarding those plats. The Planning and Zoning Commission is also charged with evaluating requests for rezoning of property and advising the county commission for their final determination, which means we make a recommendation here on zoning cases and the county commission makes the final decision. So we're advisory only, and they have the final determination. I'd ask before we begin, if you have your phones with you, would you put them on silent or vibrate, something that doesn't make too much noise, please? And let's start with a roll call.
Kim Lowry.
Present.
Jay Miller.
Present.
Chrissy Forsythe.
Present.
Joseph Andrews. Here. Bill Blankenship.
Here.
Ken Push.
Here.
Kenny McMurray. Here. Edward Brown.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. I'd like to have a motion regarding the reading of the minutes from the December 12th public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we suspend the rules and accept the minutes.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and second with Christie. Sorry, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. We're going to deviate just a little bit on the schedule today to accommodate one of the applicants here, and we're going to flip all the way back to the back of the agenda, and we're going to hear a zoning case Z240064. But before we do that, I want to read you some of the rules that we usually cover for zoning cases. So again, for the zoning cases, the staff will present the case up here at the podium, and then I'll call for opposition, and then the applicant or their representative may be asked to come forward to the podium and answer any questions. Each side will have 15 minutes, and my vice chair, Mr. Miller, will be timing that. And just want to remind you, is that one?
You said 6.
Sorry. So it's case 62.
Yeah, there.
So thank you. Sorry for the mix-up, everybody. So we only make recommendations to the county commission, then make the final decision. So I know I surprised you, Ms. Connie. Sorry. So would you please proceed with case Z240062?
Yes, sir. This property is located at 1520 Dawes Drive in the Bessemer area. The applicant, Zach Lavoie, is requesting to rezone this property from R6 single family to A1 agriculture to align it with the concurrent subdivision case and to avoid split zoning. It's just, here it is right here. It's 0.3 acres, showing it here, and it's just aligning with the proposed Lot 1. Staff recommends approval of it. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present? Okay. Anything you'd like to add?
Just here to answer questions if you need them.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is there any opposition to this rezoning case? All right. Hearing none, any questions from the commissioners? All right, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve Z24-0062.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. So now we're going to hear the subsequent subdivision case that's attached to the zoning case. It's S210101. Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. The purpose of the subdivision is to resurvey 3 acreage tracts into 4 lots of record for residential use. The zoning of A1 and R6, as we just heard, a portion of this was currently R6, and what's being shown as Lot 1 here, hence the need for the rezoning case. It does comply with all A1 and R6 zoning requirements, and Like I said, the portion that's being rezoned is to avoid any kind of split zoning with that proposed Lot 1. Access to Lots 3 and 4 will have to be from Doss Drive only, and the right-of-way will have to be dedicated for Doss Drive, as well as a small portion at the end for a turnaround, an emergency vehicle turnaround there. That will be dictated by the traffic engineer. There's no floodplain here and no sewer, so the on-site septic systems will have to be approved by the Department of Health. Staff recommends approval for this 4-lot subdivision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is there any opposition here for this subdivision case? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion approval of case S-24-0101.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. So on our subdivision cases, after they've been heard and voted on, you're welcome to exit if you'd like. So, and you do know your zoning case will come before the county commission, and you'll be notified of that date and time. All right. You're welcome. All right, now we're going to go back to the first and pick up with our with our subdivision cases. And our first one today, our second one, is S240083. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 1215 Buddy Vines Camp Road, Ewingtown. The purpose of this subdivision is to resurvey a portion of an existing acreage tract. You can see the acreage tract here on this aerial. A portion of this is to be used for residential property. It does comply with our A1 zoning requirements. I will note, however, the remainder of this tract will have to be approved and platted before any permits are pulled on that portion. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues here. Right-of-way dedication will be required for Buddy Vines Camp Road, 25 foot from the center line. We're adjacent to the property. There's no floodplain here and no sewer, so the Department of Health will have to approve any on-site septic system. Staff recommends approval for this subdivision.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? Okay, any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion approval for case S-240083.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. And if the applicant were here, you could go ahead and leave. So, all right. So the next subdivision case is S240092.
Yes, sir. This property is at 2531 Old Rocky Ridge Road, Vestavia. The purpose of this subdivision is to resurvey a portion of a lot of record into a new lot for residential use. This is part of Ridge Rock Park. It was recorded in 1928, so relatively old subdivision here. There's existing structure here. This house was built a number of years ago, prior to when the county was enforcing subdivision regulations, and it would have at that time required a resurvey. So this is to bring it into compliance with our subdivision regulation. This is A1 zoning, and it is less than 1 acre. However, the Board of Zoning Adjustment granted a variance in December of this past year to allow this lot to be recorded without that 1 acre. No anticipated road access or traffic operation issues here. Right-of-way dedication will be required for Old Rocky Ridge Road. And there is floodplain here. You can see the shaded portions of it on this. So any kind of building permits will have to be preceded with a floodplain development permit. There is sewer available, and the Environmental Services Department will have to sign the final plat. Staff recommends approval for this 1-lot subdivision.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you. Is there any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion for approval of case S-240092.
Second.
All right, I have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. And ma'am, you're welcome to leave if you like. So, but you can sit in and enjoy the show if you want to. So, Our next subdivision case is S240096. Mr. Martin.
Sir, this property is at 5460 Jackson Road in Dora. The purpose of this is to divide one acreage tract into 2 lots of record for residential use. The proposed lot sizes do meet the minimum requirements for A1. An exception would be required because both lots do not have road frontage. They do have access, however, from a existing 50-foot wide easement that goes to Jackson Road. There's no anticipated road access issues there. No right-of-way dedication is required, no floodplain, and no sewer again, so the Department of Health will have to approve any on-site septic system for both lots. Staff recommends an approval with an exception to the subdivision regulations to allow lots 1 and 2 to be recorded with no road frontage.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is our applicant here? All right, thank you. Any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners? All right, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion a motion for approval, case S240096 with the exceptions to subdivision regulations to allow lots 1 and 2 to be recorded with no road frontage.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Our next subdivision case is S240097.
Sir, this property is at 10755 Lois Lane, Hayden. The purpose of the subdivision is to divide one acreage tract into 2 lots of record for residential use. There's an existing structure, residence and mobile home on this property that are being subdivided, as well as some additional accessory structures. It does comply with A1 zoning. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues. Right-of-way dedication will be required for McKell Road, where adjacent to the property. Special flood hazard is not on this property. And again, no sewer here, so any on-site septic system will have to be approved by the Department of Health. Staff recommends approval for this subdivision.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is our applicant here? All right, thank you. Any opposition to this subdivision case today? Any questions from the commissioners? May I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion for approval of case S240097.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Our next subdivision case is S240098. Mr. Martin?
Yes, sir. This property is at 200 Heatherstone Lane, Mountain Brook. The purpose of this subdivision is to resurvey 2 existing lots of record into 1 lot. There's an existing structure here, residence on this property. So again, this is one of those situations where we're bringing it into conformance with our subdivision regulations. It does comply with R7 zoning. There's no anticipated road access or traffic operation issues here, no right-of-way dedication required, no floodplain, and this is also served by a private sanitary system that's not maintained by Jefferson County, so Environmental Services or the Health Department will not end up signing this plat. Staff recommends approval for this resurvey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you, welcome. Any opposition on this subdivision case today? All right, any questions from the commissioners? All right, may I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion for approval of case S240098.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. So on your agenda today, we have a little bit of a change. It's listed that we're going to hear S240099. That's actually going to be heard concurrently with zoning case Z240060. So we'll come back to that here when we do the zoning case. So the next subdivision case we're going to hear is S240100. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. This property is at 7675 Narrows Road, Penson. The purpose of this is to resurvey 1 existing lot into 3 lots of record for commercial and residential use. The lot 3B here in the center is the one that was recently rezoned to C1 last month by the Jefferson County Commission for a retail store. And this subdivision that's been submitted does comply with A1 and C1 zoning. Access for lot 3B here, this commercial zone property, will be only for Bradford Road. There's no additional right-of-way dedication required here, no floodplain on this property, and the Department of Health will have to approve any on-site septic system. There was one letter of opposition that we did receive this week in opposition to this subdivision.
Okay.
Staff does recommend approval for this resurvey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you. Is there any opposition to this subdivision case? If you'll please come up to the podium, give us your name and address.
Hi, sir. My name is Amir Lakhani, and I'm the store right across from this property. As I have told last month, I think we had in a meeting, it's going to completely affect my business since I've been there since last almost 11 or 12 years, since 2013. And it's not about just a Dollar General. It's like we already have like $3 or $4 Dollar General around over there. So, I mean, all my neighborhood, whoever I talk to, they are just, they are not very happy, with opening up a Dollar General over there. And like I said, it's going to affect my business very badly, And one of our customers in the past have told me, I don't know how many, but $1 or $2 General has been robbed in past. So it's to me, it's like we're bringing more crime over there. So, I mean, I'm just saying on my behalf, it's really going to affect my business for sure. And, since I've been paying taxes, everything has been cleared on my property, so I wouldn't suggest, having a Dollar General over there. So far, that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Okay. I'd just like to make a couple of remarks. I know you were here at our last meeting in December, and for the record, we recommended denial to the county commission. The county commission approved it. Okay, so they approved the Dollar General. So today we're not doing anything Dollar General specific. We're approving the landowner's request to subdivide the land. So so it's already been rezoned commercial. So we're just splitting it up for them to do whatever they want to on it, which sounds like it will be a Dollar General.
So in future, I'll come to know whatever.
Will you come back to the mic so we can hear you?
In case in future I will come to know what's the next step, or I'll get a letter or something.
So I'm not sure what next step. So we're going to decide today whether or not to just subdivide the land, okay?
Okay.
If it's decided, then there's no more zoning and planning jurisdiction there. I mean, if it's already zoned commercial, the applicant could go and request a building permit and build something.
Okay. So you're saying it's zone commercial but not Dollar General. Is that what you
That's right, but I mean, anybody that owns the business can build a commercial business, that owns the property can build a commercial business there.
Okay. So how do I know what's going to be?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a Dollar General, so.
Okay, you said it's going to be a Dollar General.
I'm pretty sure.
I think what the county commission recommended was a dollar grocery store. Is that correct? Market. Dollar
You mean
market.
DG Market? Is that what
Market,
you're
yes, sir.
talking about?
Not just the Dollar General, but the market. Yes, sir.
Okay, now I don't know how that's going to work because, I mean, my basic stuff is cigarette and alcohol and tobacco and all that.
Mr.
It's going to
Chairman,
be a market.
I never been to DG before, so I don't know what normally they sell or nothing.
Okay, well.
sir, we understand your objection to the type of business going in. Do you have any objection to the property being split up into smaller parcels, yes or no?
Yeah, that's what my objection was, which I told you.
Your objection is for it to be split up in smaller parcels?
No, not that. I have a store down.
Right, your objection is to the character of what's going in.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's already been decided
Okay.
by the higher body from us, the county commission. Do you have an objection to the matter at hand here today?
Well, not about that,
Okay.
except whatever I told you. That's not.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Thank you.
thank you, sir. Is there any other opposition on this case today? All right. Mr. Applicant, would you like to address us with any additional, or you just want to? Just give me a yes or a no. Okay, thank you. All right. Any questions from the commissioners? All right. Can I have a motion on this subdivision case?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion for approval of case S 240100.
Second.
All right, I have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, now we're going to go to our zoning cases. You already heard my spiel about we only make recommendations to the county commission to make the final decision. So we're going to go through the cases today, just like we did with that first zoning case. So the next one up is Z240056. Mr. Morrison?
Yes, sir. This is a request to go from A1 to R7. This would be a new subdivision that comes out or is accessed through an existing subdivision, which is Franklin Park, as you see on the screen up here. The proposal is to develop 77 residential lots. Those lots will be in a more clustered style, and the remainder of the property would be included with the common area. Note that the remainder of the property does include some floodplain and some high terrain as well, and so this is really the level and developable portion of the property itself. The applicant is proposing an access, again, from Franklin Park Drive, and then also a secondary access that accesses back through to Franklin Park Drive, which, as you know, within the past year, the county has adopted a policy requiring any subdivision of so many lots, there has to be a secondary form of access. And in this particular case, that secondary form of access just goes back to the original access, or the road that it's originally accessing from. Last year, this proposal, or within, I guess, the past 18 months, there was a proposal to develop this property for 99 residential lots. Planning and Zoning Commission at the time did recommend approval. However, the County Commission denied that particular request. They did have opposition from the city of Kimberly, as well as residents from within the Franklin Park subdivision who had concerns about additional traffic and the difference in density between the two developments itself. Citing that there's not a secondary access to a collector road, given the fact that the lot front or the lot widths are less than the 65 feet, which has now been established as the achievable goal of the county commission, citing concerns over road crowding, on-street parking, and emergency access. And then also the layout and the density of the subdivision is different than is different from the subdivision from which it is accessing from. Staff is recommending denial of this particular request. And also, there is also no plan, or there's been no demonstration that there would be any sort of recessed garages or anything else on the property to, again, sort of offset that concern given with the road width itself. Are there any questions for staff?
No, thank you, Mr. Morrison.
All right.
Is the applicant present? Okay, before you come up, I just want to, do you want to add anything to his presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will you start with your name and address, please, sir?
I'm John Kane. I'm with BBC Development, and my address is 848 Mountain View Drive in Gardendale, Alabama. First, I'd like to thank the commission and the advisory board for last time recommending the approval. We feel like that we're trying to work diligently on the new mandate that we feel like is coming out of the county commission. I've had numerous meetings with various staff members and also the planning and zoning, and they've been very accommodating, other than the fact that we're going through, as developers, major changes in Jefferson County, as y'all all know. I feel like that we did a really good job when we went back. First off, we lowered the density by over 20%. We've got almost a 1 acre to 1 lot ratio on the density. We also increased our lot widths by 20%, which is costly, but what choice do we really have? We also we feel like that this is not actually a new subdivision. We feel like that this is the third sector of Franklin Park. Just because we're calling it something different in there, when the subdivision was originally platted. It was planned, and the access point is exactly as it was then and was developed in Jefferson County. We also feel like that the emergency access point that we have by topo means we have no ability to give the county anything other than, but we also feel like that the 2024 International Fire Code gives an alternative, which is that anything more than 30 units would have what we call a 13D compliant fire suppression system in those houses, which we've agreed to do. And so we just feel like that it's a great add to the community. If any of y'all, and I know you've drove out that way, you know what's going on there. We still feel like that we probably got as good a buffers as we possibly can get out there. I mean, so we feel like that we've done everything that we know to do in order to come back to the commission and say, hey, we're working diligently to come into compliance with a new mandate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kane. So we may have some questions for you later, but I'm going to call for opposition. So is there anybody here in opposition to this zoning case? So if you come up, start with your name and address, please, and tell us your concerns.
Good afternoon. My name is William Kilgore, and I live at 1771 Park Lane Circle. I'm here today to express my neighbors and my concerns regarding the proposed subdivision development by John Kane. The zoning proposal seeks to establish a 77-lot R7 planned unit development district, which would bring 77 homes, but also could result in 154 residential duplex-style garden homes or triplexes. First, the proposed development would use Franklin Park as its primary access point. Currently, our neighborhood experiences light traffic, about 26 vehicles daily at the proposed entrance, which is on Franklin Park Circle, my street. Adding potentially 154 to 300 plus cars from this new subdivision will result in a 500 to 1,100% increase in traffic just on my street. This is just not an inconvenience, but a major safety hazard for our children, walkers, runners, cyclists, and those who use our streets daily. The increased traffic would fundamentally change the character and safety of our neighborhood. Second, the heavy construction traffic this development requires will destroy the roads we fought for years to have completed and paved. Just recently, we celebrated finally having smooth, finished roads, something many residents waited years to see. Now these same roads would bear the brunt of constant heavy equipment, tearing them apart. When we asked who would repair the damage, the developer placed the responsibility on the county. We all know how long repairs could take, possibly leaving years of our community stuck in despair and frustration. This issue also brings up the probable violation of Kimberly's Ordinance 2023-16, prohibiting construction vehicles on Franklin Park streets. This ordinance prohibits any construction vehicles from using Franklin Park streets for new construction, excluding existing residents or lots appearing on the filed plot map of Jefferson County. I have a copy, but my printer crapped out on me, so I only have 6. So you only have to share if you want to look at it. Third, Franklin Park is not just a neighborhood. We are an active homeowners association with leadership and well-established covenants. These covenants govern key aspects of our homes, including minimum square footage, lot size, and facade material requirements. These rules were adhered to when every home in Franklin Park was built. The proposed homes, however, do not meet any of these standards. In conversations with the developers, they made it clear that they have no interest in building homes comparable to ours. They even referred to our Franklin Park homes as a thing of the past, despite calling this the project phase 2 or 3 of Franklin Park. They have not shown any intention of paying HOA dues, following our covenants, or contributing to our community standards that make our neighborhood what it is today. That is not partnership. That is an exploitation of our community's name and infrastructure. Fourth, the property in question remains unincorporated in Jefferson County without annexing into the city of Kimberly. Mr. Kane could bypass the city of Kimberly's fees and ordinances. If this development proceeds without annexation in Kimberly, it raises questions about accountability and whether the city will bear the burden of traffic, safety, and infrastructure issues without the benefit of the developer contributions to the city resources. Finally, I would like to remind the committee of the community's previous successful effort to oppose Mr. Kane's attempt to rezone the property into a 99-lot RG. subdivision. This proposal was struck down by our county commissioners because it did not align with the needs of our safety or the community. Unfortunately, this proposal still does not address the root concerns and will have a lasting negative impact on the safety and well-being of our neighborhood. I respectfully urge the committee to consider the long-term implications of this decision and stand with the residents of Franklin Park to protect the integrity and safety of our community. And I appreciate y'all on this.
All right, thank you, sir.
I don't know if y'all want these copies. I can give you.
You can give them to staff here. Thank you. Is there anyone else that has opposition to this rezoning case? Again, last call. Anybody else have opposition? All right. Mr. Kane, would you like to come up and address some of the comments?
Yes, sir. First, I'd like to say that the original plat of Franklin Park subdivision left that access point in exactly where it is today. It is our only legal access. It is where all of our utilities lie. The next I would like to address is I guess I would call it a resolution that the city of Kimberly came up with, which is in violation of their own city ordinances. They're the only subdivision, according to the fire and the police chief. We're the only subdivision to have adopted that particular thing. They already know that they have a 26,000 pound commercial limit on their streets. As far as last I checked, Bone Dry Road was still in the county's control. It is not in the city. This subdivision was annexed quite several years back under what we call legislative action. It did not comply with the annexation rules of being an adjacent property. There are some property owners that did not come into the city of Kimberly at that time, and they're still in unincorporated Jefferson County, just like we are. We feel like that we meet and exceed all the criteria that the county has set up forth. I will say this: I would much rather develop in Jefferson County than I had in the city of Kimberly. And I would also rather build in Jefferson County than I had in the city of Kimberly. Y'all have probably the finest inspection services that there is in Alabama. You know, you have what I consider footing, foundation, everything you can think of, heating, cooling, whatever it is in there. They have one man that controls all of their, what I call their inspection services. So yes, we do like dealing with Jefferson County. So thank you so much.
Okay. So I think the commissioners are going to have some questions for you. So if you
Yes,
want
sir.
to hang out for a second.
Yes, sir.
So in fact, I'm going to go first, and then I'll let the other commissioners have a
Yes,
chance.
sir.
So regarding your proposal to basically do fire protection in the homes with sprinklers. So a couple of things I was curious about, capability. Is the water system able to provide the volume and pressure required for the number of houses? Have you figured that out yet?
Yes, sir. The original subdivision was developed under y'all's guidelines in Jefferson County. So there is an 8-inch main that is stubbed out at where we're at. So it was already pre-planned in the original subdivision to put the adjacent land in as a residential.
Okay, so let me expand on that. So having a large main is a good thing, but having enough water and water pressure to feed the main is what I was more concerned with. So what water company serves?
Birmingham.
City of Birmingham Waterworks?
Yes, sir. No, it's Birmingham Waterworks.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So have you talked to them about the ability to provide the necessary pressure and volume?
Several times in there. This is not, y'all understand, this is not our first time for this rezoning case. And we actually, when we originally bought this subdivision, or bought the adjacent land in the subdivision, We had an R7 case that was approved some number of years ago, back before what I call the 07, 08 crash. And so all of those water letters and everything are in existence from Birmingham Water Works.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, may I follow up on that just real quick?
Sure, please, go ahead.
Sir, I think he's asking you one question, you're answering another one, so I just want to clarify something real quick. You're proposing to put in sprinkler systems within these houses to assist with the fire control issue, correct? Okay. Has there been a study, has there been anything to determine whether or not sufficient water pressure exists, not just to run to the houses, but to support those sprinkler systems in the case of a mass fire event?
I would say to service the houses, not.
You would say, or there's a study that's been done, yes or no?
You're asking me two different questions. One, you're asking me if we can supply the houses, and next you're asking me whether or not it's sufficient enough to use it.
I'm sure that you can supply the houses with water. I'm asking in a sufficient amount of water pressure to sustain fire, to suppress fire based on those sprinkler systems.
And my answer would be no, but it is no for a reason.
Okay.
We were only told from Josh through an email that the alternative to having this new mandate on the emergency exits in and out in there, we were only told by him that under the 2024 International Fire Code that alternative exists.
Yes, sir.
So,
If I could.
Yes.
I've got the guidelines here.
Yes, sir.
For the 13D sprinkler system.
Yes, sir.
Required in those houses.
Sure.
The guidelines are that a 13D sprinkler system, as defined by NFPA standards, typically requires a water pressure between 40 and 80 psi at the sprinkler head, with the exact pressure depending on specific sprinkler design and K-factor used, but always ensuring sufficient flow to effectively combat a fire in a single or two-family dwelling. So basically, you would have to provide evidence that you can provide 40 to 80 psi at each head in each single-family residence.
And I go way back in there. My background is in the plumbing business, and so I can say with some sincerity that there's way greater than on an 8-inch main the capacity to present 40 without a reducer coming into the house, that there's more sufficient water out there. But I'll be more than helpfully to provide y'all with that from Birmingham Water Works.
Okay, so, but is that 13D system going to be dedicated to that sprinkler system, or is it going to be part of the potable water provided to that home?
I don't know what you're asking me.
Okay, are you going to use the plumbing for the house for the sprinkler system?
Well, that's the only way I've ever seen it done.
But you said you're going to put that in without a reducer, so how would that affect the pressure to the rest of the house if you don't reduce that PSI from the sprinkler?
Birmingham Water Works, as y'all know, we could get a half, we could get a 3/4 tap. Now we've gone to a 1-inch tap on most everything that we do in residential development. And so normally you've got too much pressure out there, and we have to reduce it in order to keep the pop-offs coming on and off with the commodes and those type things. So it's my understanding that a 13D system in there is actually comes directly off of the what I call the 1-inch line in there. In other words, the house is reduced, but yet the sprinkler system is run at full capacity to meet those needs.
So do you follow him on that one? So basically, we've got the main line that comes into the house, and it'll branch off to the sprinkler system before the reducing valve.
That is correct.
And that sprinkler system for each residence would have to be permitted separately, and the sprinkler system would have to be designed.
It would all be in compliance. I mean, y'all do a really good job. You've been here a long period of time. Y'all do a really good job of making sure that the builder and the developer is in compliance with all the Jefferson County regulations.
It says that you may be covered by Trafford Fire. What does that mean?
No, sir, I never said that.
Okay.
What
Who's going to be covering the fire? Who's going to be covering? What fire station will be covering this?
That would actually be Trafford.
Okay.
Chief Sharp has assured me that, which is actually closer to Trafford Fire Department than it is
Sure.
Kimberly Fire Department.
What do you mean by assured?
Sir?
What do you mean by assured?
Assured?
Yes, sir. Did you have a conversation, or did he give you a letter that said we're going to cover you?
I've had several conversations with him
Okay.
in the past.
So you have a letter or something in writing that says that they're going to be
Not, sir.
okay.
But I would ask the same thing. Those ones that did not get annexed in previously, who?
I'm not worried about what happened previously. I'm worried about your proposal.
Yes,
With
sir.
due respect,
Yes, sir.
We're talking about what you're doing. I'm not talking about what anybody's done before. The same way you talk about those Kimberly proposals right now, we're not under the jurisdiction of the city of Kimberly. So I'm focused on what's happening here and what we have control over.
I was just trying to say that there are some houses out there that did not annex.
Sure.
So who is their fire protection?
I don't know. But I'm asking you because you're developing this property.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you don't have a formal letter with Trafford offering fire protection, correct?
I do not.
Okay.
If y'all make that recommendation, that we get that letter for y'all's approval, if that's part of that, then of course.
Okay, I've got that on my list. So are there any other questions from the commissioners on other areas?
I've got just one last one.
Sure, go ahead.
Based upon the conversation that we're having here today
Yes, sir.
between these commissioners and yourself, before we enter into in-kind of vote, do you want to perhaps ask to be carried over so that you can study some more of these things, or are you just ready for us to go ahead and vote today?
I guess my question is to do. I noticed the comments from the planning and zoning board being as of the 65 foot, and I'm curious as to know, because we spent all the 24 trying to figure out what was the mindset now and what we were trying to accomplish or change. And so we feel like that we went from 50 to 60, which is a 20% increase. And so therefore, are we saying that there's a mandatory 65-foot minimum lot widths now? And I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Mike can answer that.
Mike, you want to speak to it?
Oh, yes, sir. Again, the discussion about the lot widths comes as a concern that we've had in several other of these type of clustered developments. We've had issues with on-street parking, and then thus creates an issue for emergency access and emergency vehicles. The process is if we, again, by greater lot widths, you've got more chance and more space for you to park on-site, as well as you do decrease the density, which does decrease the likelihood that scenario will play out again. So again, that's just been the driver of the commission for the past 6 months.
Does that answer your question, Mr. Kane? I mean, quite simply, I think it comes down to this, especially with one access, one ingress, egress, not a primary, a singular, with the ability to get an emergency vehicle in there if there are cars parked on the street because nobody has room to park in their driveway, it becomes a health and safety problem.
I don't disagree with that at all, but I mean, this is new to all of us.
We understood.
You know,
Everything evolves as we get new information in and new conditions occur.
And
You
my
understand?
question is that this is not the only piece of land that we own that has a second or third sector to it in there. And I don't, because of North Jefferson County and the topo issues that we have out there, I'm really scared now that how do I get in compliance? And it looks like the only way that I can get in compliance is to use that 13D fire suppression system, because if that's my only alternative, if I can't give you something that I don't have, and so there's no other way. I have no other ability to give you anything else other than what I have available to me.
I understand, sir, but I'll tell you, I'll sleep well at night knowing that a fire truck can get in and out in two different places versus a little bit more money having to be spent to put sprinkler systems in people's houses.
Well, I mean, it does, we did check on, the sprinkler system does give that, what I call a consumer, it does give that consumer over a 20% decrease in insurance thing, so.
If it's installed and if there's sufficient water pressure in order to maintain it during the duration.
Well, if there's not, that's the easiest way to turn me down, if there's not sufficient.
And we don't know right now whether there is or not, correct?
I'll say I'm willing to gamble that there is.
I'm not willing to gamble much.
I'm willing to provide that information.
Well, you're gambling on developing the property, so you're gambling a lot here. I'm just trying to make sure
But
people have
I'm
access.
also going on my knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, thank you.
One more thing.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
The road that goes around the perimeter of the property that carries you back to the main entrance. My concern would be that that road would be designed so the largest fire truck that's available to a fire department would have the ability to make those turns at the corner. So I would like, when you do the site plan, if we move forward and it is approved, we show that the largest truck can make that trek around the perimeter of that property.
So, Mr. Thomas, let me ask you this in there, and I guess I'm new at what these new mandates kind of are. If we go with the alternative and we have the sufficient water suppression that we can get that pressure and everything from Birmingham Water Works, do I also then need to provide additional emergency access, or is that my alternative? That's what I'm asking. I don't know.
I don't think what we're proposing allows you not to provide that secondary road to access the initial entrance. I don't think that's going to be a trade-off. You're going to have to provide that secondary road that goes around and connects to the main.
all right, so I have a follow-up.
What's happening is we're not counting it as two exits, two entrances, but you're asking to be able to move forward using a sprinkler system. But we still do not want to lose that road around the perimeter for the use by the fire department.
I think I've got our engineer, Brian, come here just one second. Just come here 1 second. This is Brian Presnell, our engineer.
Okay, let Brian tell us his name and address before we go forward, please.
Brian Presnell, 1703 McConnell Lane, Mount Olive, 35117.
My question is because this is an engineering question. We feel like that what we put on the plat and the curvature and everything that we've got, do you feel as an engineer that we can provide what we've already proposed without the suppression system? What I'm talking about, and adjacent to it.
Per the code, if the concern was the secondary entrance, correct? And I think based on the fire code, the secondary entrance is not required if the fire suppression is put in. But I think I think what I'm understanding is, but the county still wants the secondary.
Well, it's not a secondary, it's just a path back around to the primary.
Right.
So we're asking that road still be provided, even though it's not considered a second exit.
So, in other words, both. The prior, yes, sir. Okay, that's fine.
I see no major issue with that as long as the developers.
And my concern is that we provide the width of that road so the fire trucks can make those corners there in those times.
Yeah, right. I know we discussed that in our last meeting that we had, and I made a few minor adjustments on the original plat to get some radiuses in there and actually widened it out to, I think, 25 feet so that we could get a 20-foot fire road in there that would meet fire code.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can wrap this up for us. So y'all can step here because I need you to answer a couple of questions to help us get to the right spot. So I'm closing the public hearing, and we're just discussing the logistics of us proceeding with a vote today, okay? So what we're faced with is the staff recommended denial. You saw the reasons why.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The main thing is the the fire protection aspect, okay? We don't have enough information to find the alternative of using a sprinkler instead of a secondary access. We don't have enough information. So if that's the way you want to proceed for us to consider it, I think you need to get us some information from the waterworks and something from the fire department that's going to, in documentation, to provide us some assurances, okay? That's one, all right? So second one, it's unlikely you're going to get approval unless your road frontages are 65 feet, either here or with the county commission.
Can I ask now another dumb question? Because we're all, like I said, as developers, we're all trying to figure out this new mandate that the county commission and everybody wants. So my question to that is, if I go back to a 65-foot, then I really don't need any, I can go back to can I go back to an R2 zoning? Because
Okay.
R2.
All right, well, so let's save those kind of what-if questions so I'm telling you what's going to go and what's not going to go, and I'm going to ask you how you want to handle it, okay? So, so if, obviously right now you don't have 65 feet, so, here's where I'll jump to the chase since that's where you want me to go.
Yes, sir.
Is, do you want to request to hold over this case and let you go back and look at getting the certifications from the water board and the fire department and to rework your plan with a 65-foot frontage, and I think that's the main ones. Did I cover everything? Okay.
So
do you want to ask us to carry over to allow you to go work on those three things?
Please, sir.
Okay. And how much time do you need? Because there's not much time between now and the next meeting to get stuff together.
I don't think we need, very much time in there. I mean, we're not,
Okay. I just want to make sure you have enough time, okay?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
you said that's okay.
I feel like that'd be sufficient enough time for me to be able to do that.
Well, we'll carry it over, and if he doesn't make it for the deadline, it'll be the next month. So, all right.
Thank you so much.
Well, I got one more for you. So this was on there, and we didn't talk about it. So I know that at one point I saw the PUD layout of everything, but I don't have it with me today here. So are you going to have garages on the homes?
Yes.
And how are they? Are they detached? Are they rear of the house?
No, they're attached.
Are they front entrance or side entrance?
That would be correct, front entrance.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
All right. And what's the setback on the garage from the street?
Under PUD, you've got 25 foot from back of curb. In other words, it's all underground utilities and valley cutters and everything. So under R7, as it speaks of right now, Michael probably can speak to this better than me, but I believe that the setback or the closest setback is 25 foot back of curb.
Well, make sure it's
that has been the standard that we've been imposing via condition.
Okay, so we're good with that? Yeah. Okay, all right. That was all I had. So what I heard you say is that you would like us to carry this case over to allow you to address the secondary access versus sprinkling the houses. Yes, and giving us something in written form from the waterworks and the fire department for coverage for the houses that demonstrate you can meet that requirement.
Yes, sir.
And then addressing the 65-foot width on the road frontage. Okay.
Thank y'all for your time.
All right. Well, so we still have to vote. So we're going, but you can sit down. Okay. Thank you for your time. All right. So,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we carry over case Z24-0056 for 1 month to the applicant can supply the necessary information we requested.
Second.
all right. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. All right, let's see. So our next case, make sure I get it right here, is Z240058. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Give me just 1 second, please.
Sure. That was a long one. And I'm out of water.
Forgive me for that. My computer fell asleep and all this. Happy New Year. All right, case number 58. This is a request to change of zoning to go from A1 to R7, which is a planned unit development district. What they're proposing is 59 residential lots that are going to be in addition to an existing garden home subdivision, and to create 2 commercial lots with frontage along Old Tuscaloosa Highway. This is all a proposed extension of the Arrowwood subdivision that's down in Lakeview. The property itself was annexed into the city of Lakeview and developed in the city of Lakeview, but since then that annexation of the property was ruled unconstitutional, and thus it reverts back to us for control. In fact, we are imposing Lakeview zoning standards on the existing portion of the subdivision as it stands. All right, this shows you a brief overlay of what's out there now with the current phase 1 of Arrowhead. What they're proposing is to come through on the south end and develop out the rest of the subdivision while providing an additional access to Old Tuscaloosa Highway. This lot here, they're proposing for commercial development, as well as this one over here. Also, as part of the build-out of the residential development, is a small cul-de-sac that is being proposed along this street within the subdivision itself that's comprised of just 7 lots. All right, this is a look at the southwesternmost of the proposed commercial developments. What they've got here is they're conceptualizing a C-store, convenience store with gas stations, as well as 2 buildings that are just going to serve as basic office, warehouse, incubators, that sort of thing. Targeting more like your contractors, your startup businesses, everything else. Again, because R7 allows for C1 or commercial uses, these properties could not be used for industrial purposes. They couldn't be used solely for warehousing. They couldn't be used for any sort of fabricating. And, of course, there would be no outsourced storage that would be allowed with it as well. Again, in keeping with the zoning, and we have discussed this over with the applicant as well. On the other side of the existing Arrowwood Boulevard, where there's another proposed commercial development tract, what they're proposing, again, more of the office, warehouse, incubator type units, as well as some space for retail, restaurant, that sort of operation. Planning staff is recommending approval, as this would complete that existing neighborhood. Staff is recommending several conditions. All of the conditions are keeping in line, particularly for the residential component of the development, are keeping in line with the existing covenants of the Arrowwood subdivision. Again, this is just our way to ensure that we've got compliance with, or to ensure that the proposed addition to the development will be in cohesion with what's out there as far as the residential component. There are a couple of recommended conditions pertaining to the commercial development. One is that any lighting be directed downward away from any residential properties. And 2, in keeping with what we've done in recent years, is trying to impose the same sort of architectural standards as what we've done with the industrial park. And that would just be that all commercial building exteriors consist of masonry, concrete, or glass. Permitted materials shall not include smooth-faced concrete block or metal walls. If there are any questions for staff?
No, thank you, Mr. Morrison.
All right, thank you.
So is the applicant present? Would y'all like to add anything to Mr. Morrison's presentation? Well, so are you in opposition, or are you the applicant? Okay, well, I haven't asked for that yet, so you'll get your turn in just a minute. So the applicant's in the back. Do y'all want to add anything to Mr. Morrison's presentation? Okay, all right. Thank you. All right. So now, is there any opposition to this case? All right. If you've seen how it's done, give us your name and address. And
Can we step up together?
You can.
All right. Sheila Blevins, 7861 Old Tuscaloosa Highway. And I would be right across from that development. This is my dad.
I'm William Austin. I'm 7869 Old Tuscaloosa Highway. Again, we're right across the street from this. We're definitely in opposition to service stations, even restaurants and stuff across the street. We moved out there 35 years ago. I bought 36 acres to where I could have my family out there together. And it's done pretty good so far. have 5 other members of our family on the property. So we've got 5 living places, in other words, houses and 1 trailer. And I don't know, it just seems like it's not the thing to do for us. It's, we moved out there for, how you say it, to get away from the hustle and bustle as much as we could. And now they're going to bring it to our front door, so we're not happy about it.
Well,
So
the issue that we're really experiencing is a safety concern. And like the previous developer, I do agree with him. I do appreciate how we've always known that Jefferson County took good care of us. That's why we stayed in Jefferson County rather than moving to Tuscaloosa, because we appreciate that fact. I built my home there almost 40 years ago, Dad. We've been there 40 years. But what has happened is, because we are at the very edge of the county, development, and we're unincorporated, large development has come in, like the Smuckers plant. It has brought a lot of traffic. And then we also have the train, I'm not sure what that's called, but there's a train terminal there. We have a great deal of traffic now coming down our old Tuscaloosa Highway, and it's no overstatement that we risk our life turning in our driveways. I worry every time I hear a wreck, which they are frequent right there at Kimbrell Cutoff Road. It is very dangerous. They can't even keep the sign up because it's hit so often. Kimbrell Cutoff sign is always coming down. So our concern is this development, so many homes being put in when we do not have adequate, also like the development previous, adequate road service to this potential development with so many homes packed in there. Safety for us on this old Tuscaloosa Highway with just so much development coming in that we are not prepared for. And right on old Tuscaloosa Highway, right at Kimbrell, there's a blind spot in the road. People drive 80 miles an hour down Old Tuscaloosa like it is the interstate. We run parallel to the interstate, and they fly down it. There's been numerous accidents at the end of my driveway, one where we were having some work done on our home, and a work truck was rear-ended, just slammed into, and it was some guys on their way to work and speeding. So we are fortunate that we just had our 4th generation born in November on our property. We want our family to be able to potentially stay here. Thanks to my dad buying this property many years ago. It's provided an excellent home for us. But we just want to make sure it's safe. I don't want to worry when we turn in the driveway. Sometimes we have to just go past our driveway and just keep going because we have to watch in the rearview mirror and make sure that they are not about to rear end us. So that is our concern. I just think safety. If any surveys have been done to see if it's safe for even this neighborhood to come in.
We're already upset enough with they're widening the highway in front of us. So they're going to take, I don't know how many feet, I haven't got that straight yet.
40 feet off of our front.
And we've got that change coming.
So, if there has been any safety studies done about whether or not this neighborhood would be safe coming in across the street. So that would be my concern.
There's service stations already. About a half a mile down, if you turn right out of my driveway, about a half mile down, there's service stations. If you turn back to the left, you go 3 miles and there's service stations. So the need for something like that, I don't see, very present. Nowhere, we're right off exit 100, and you've got truck stops up there. You've got 3 or 4 more service stations other than that. And
Okay.
we just don't want that kind of business if we can keep it out of there.
And do we know what kind of homes these will be and like how large the property size will be? Is that drawn up yet?
We'll get the applicant to answer your
Okay.
questions when they come up there.
That would be
Is there
great.
anything else you'd like to say?
I guess that's about it.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say.
Okay. So on this drawing up here, are you, you see where Springs Road is? Are you to the left of it?
Where the next drive.
To the right?
Spring Road, there's a driveway just past that road there, and then we're the next drive up.
Okay.
If they build houses that way, that's all in front of our place.
Show us where now.
Let me say one more thing. I don't know whether this will have anything to do with it, and I can't back this up. But right across the street from us, that's low land.
Yeah.
Yep,
I think it would
we've
fit
seen the
into
drawings.
water.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay?
So would you, Michael, can you give him the laser pointer and let him show us where?
Is that your driveway right there that comes in?
Ours is Beagle Lane.
I can't see it.
It's just north of where you're at, northeast where you're at, Mike.
Right here?
Are those your houses
Yep.
right there?
Yep. Just
Yes,
east.
sir.
Yes, that's it.
That wooded area
That's
right
it.
there is mine. And the house right there, we got 2 houses on Old Tuscaloosa right there. The driveway goes between both of them.
Yeah.
So it affects us a pretty good bit.
Okay, all right. I just want to see where you were. Thank you. All right. So applicant, would you like to come forward and answer some of their questions and concerns for us? And you know the routine, right? Name and address first.
Zach Parrish, 3981 Pine Lane, Bessemer, Alabama, 35022. So just to point out, we did notify all the residents of Arrowwood Phase 1 and the property owners across the street. This is the first opposition we've heard to this. As a matter of fact, we've gotten emails of support from all the residents of the neighborhood. They realize that this is going to add value to the area. I think the biggest concern I heard was just basically the land use that we're proposing from the opposition. And that's hard to combat other than we're maintaining with what's the Jefferson County Comprehensive Use Plan. We're falling within that, and I think our proposal fits what the future is foreseen out there. With respect to lowlands, potential wetlands, we've recognized the western side of the property does have some water. There's one pond on the northeast side of that western parcel that is a man-made pond that we've discussed with environmental engineers and feel like that is a non-jurisdictional area, but we realize that we'll have to go through the Corps of Engineers to verify that, and whatever recommendations they may have will follow. Traffic concerns, we recognize that we'll have to do a traffic study and submit and adhere to whatever comes from that. I believe.
Could you elaborate on that? So if it comes back saying that you have to make, what are potentials that it's going to come back with?
I think the potentials that would come back is to need a decel lane and then potentially a turn lane, a left turn. It would be our worst case scenario.
Okay.
And if it comes back to that, we're willing to follow that recommendation.
Okay.
To speak to the product, in the letters that we mailed out, we did address that, but the homes will be similar or greater than what's existing in the Arrowwood community. They'll be 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. Price points will be in the mid 300s to low to mid 400,000 range. All the staff recommendations that came from what I recognize as the Arrowwood Phase 1 covenants and restrictions, we're perfectly fine with to maintain the consistency of the neighborhood.
Okay.
No objections to any of that.
All right. So I have a question for you, and I'm going to open up for the commissioners too. So you said the man-made pond. So obviously, looking at the plans, you have you have your commercial convenience store planned right where that is.
We do.
So what's the what if it is?
The two what ifs, if it comes back non-jurisdictional, we'll remove the pond, demuck, fill back in, test accordingly, and have a solid pad to build on. If it comes back that it is jurisdictional, then we'll have to go through getting a Corps of Engineers permit and purchasing mitigation credits, which we're willing to do.
Okay. So you're still going to move forward with it?
Correct.
Whatever it takes?
That's
so, okay, all right. All right. Anything else you want to add before I'm going to let the commissioners ask you questions?
No, I don't believe so, other than, again, all the staff recommendations we agree with and we're comfortable with and have no objections to.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Miller?
What are your planned hours of operation?
For the office space, we anticipate that would be roughly 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
What about the gas station?
Gas station, equivalent to what's out there now, which is around 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And again, with downward lighting. And again, I've spoken to the property owner directly across the street, the Simmons family, who owns along Tingle Springs, and shared the plans with them. And again, unless staff could say otherwise, I don't believe we've had any opposition until today.
We did receive that one email, and that's been provided to you all.
Yep.
Okay.
It's actually included in your report.
So you would be in favor of limited operation hours from 5 to 10, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
Yeah, that's acceptable. Yes, sir.
Going back to the pond, you have any idea what scope, how deep you might have to go to remove that pond?
At its deepest during the wet season, it's about 4 feet. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have compaction reports and have someone on site to verify the proctor testing as we build that up.
Okay. Any of the commissioners have questions?
Yes, Commissioner, I have two.
Please.
Question: Do you know what perhaps Tuscaloosa County has planned for that adjacent land to it? Will that be? And I just generally don't know. Is that going to be residential, or do they plan on doing something commercial with that? And the second is, I'm probably overlooking it, but in mine I don't see where the gas station being placed there. I see 59 single-family units, 2 commercial sites. That's that one. It must be one of those commercial sites. Right. And a C-store, 2 retail commercial restaurants, 6 office warehouse buildings.
This C-store will have gas.
Okay, so convenience store. They're gonna have gas pumps. And again, I just have to ask. I'm concerned about putting a gas station on wetlands, especially because that land links to several large bodies of water. And
well, so again, the definition of wetlands is very loose and broad. This wetlands perception for this property is basically what was built as a beaver dam years and years ago, and the water has just backed up and created moist conditions since the original developer went out of business in 2007 or 8. It's been that way and been unmaintained. So we plan to mitigate that. To your question about the adjoining property in Tuscaloosa, we're very familiar with what's going on in Tuscaloosa County. We've got a lot of projects right around the 2059 corridor for Tuscaloosa County and the town of Woodstock. But Lakeview itself, we've heard no expansion plans at all. There's a lot of sewer issues with availability there. So I don't think there's any future growth anytime soon from what we know.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? All right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So I'm going to close the public hearing, and we'll. Commissioner Miller, are you ready to make a motion?
Yes. I'd like to make a recommendation to approve Z24-0058 with the following conditions. No dwelling shall contain less than 1,600 square feet of interior heating living space for one-story residence. Any two-story dwelling must contain no less than 1,000 square feet on the main level, no less than 600 square feet on the upper level.
Mr. Miller, could I make a recommendation that you just cite the 9 conditions so you don't have to read them all?
Okay. All right, we will be here all day if I read this. Recommended with those, actually 10 conditions. The last condition being the hours of operation shall be no sooner than 5 a.m. and no later than 10 p.m.
That's for the commercial properties?
Commercial properties.
Okay. All right, I have a motion.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
All right, would you call the roll, please?
Yes. Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Joseph Andrews. Joel Blankenship.
No with the conditions.
Kenny Kush.
Yes.
Mike Thomas.
Yes.
Kenny McMurray.
No.
Philip Brown.
No.
Ken Lowry.
Would you recap the count for me first, please?
Five yeas, three noes.
Say that again?
5 yeas, 3 noes.
All right. I vote yea in favor. All right, so the motion passes 6-3. And just so you know, this will come before the county commission. You'll be notified of that. And so remember, we're not the final deciding body, but our recommendation is for approval with all the conditions that were listed. All right, our next zoning case is Z240060. But before you present it, your chairman needs to take a break, so I was going to offer the board, if you want 5 minutes for a break.
Oh, sure. Johnny. The woman that's coming in at 2, Jamaria, she's pretty smart. She and I got to be really good friends. Well, they have no choice. Probate 1 is not since my fault. Mike used to work. So actually, when Mike was in probate 2, he wanted to actually take probate 2. So he moved over to 1. He continued to make motions to elections. And then when Alan came on, Alan didn't want it to charity. Well, I didn't give it to Alan. Alan didn't want it to charity. So it's just been that way. So you could have, potentially. Like, believe it or not, Barry's the smartest one. Barry's too good. With respect, Barry's too good. No, I'm with Barry. Politics. I'll get a hot one with Barry.
Whether they do that or not.
Oh, yeah.
What?
The intention.
Yeah, I've got a hot one there because he and I talk about Washington. Because I represent the county and the state of public authorities. So anytime something comes up here,
It's quick. There's a bathroom right there.
Back and run there before. Bears Education didn't have no award. I didn't know anything. Things just worked out.
It's always nice to get reports.
Everybody got safe. We got the man.
Yep.
The Uvalde in Texas, those guys still out. Shooters keep shooting. They still out.
You know, I'll tell you what's funny.
It's
only road that don't have tracks.
That's right.
The one that ain't open.
That's what happens in Texas, right?
First of all, there's
One of the boards
Everybody's so bunched up about.
All right, I'm going to go start back. Okay.
What about the ambulance?
Okay, I think everybody's back. Well, again, I called KZ 240060.
Yes, sir, this property is located at 2464 Martin Road in the Grayson Valley area. The applicant is Wyatt Howard with White Oak Development Partners, LLC. Excuse me. Mr. Howard is requesting to rezone approximately 2.02 acres from CP Preferred Commercial, the C1 Commercial, to align with the concurrent subdivision case and to allow a mini warehouse storage. This property abuts the R2 zone district to the north and to the east. The applicant is proposing 9 mini warehouse buildings, an office building, 2 retention ponds, and a gravel parking lot. Ingress and egress will be from Martin Road. The rezoning this property to C1 is consistent with the future land use plan of general transition and mixed use, and the proposed use of mini warehouse with no outside storage is compatible to the A1 zone district. Staff recommends approval with 2 conditions. 1 is a 40-foot landscape buffer shall be maintained on the north side of the property, and a landscape plan of the buffer shall be approved by the Development Services Department. And 2, any and all outdoor lighting shall be directed downward from any residential use. Residential properties. Staff, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant present? All right, thank you. I'm guessing there's no opposition from the amount of people in the room. So I think we have some questions for you. Would you like to come up and give us your name and address to start, please?
Sir, my name is Wyatt Howard, White Oak Development, 1191 Old Barnett Shoals Road, actually Athens, Georgia.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Howard. So I'm going to start off with some questions, and I think some of the other commissioners might have some questions as well. So I appreciate you providing us a site plan for this. So and I drove by and looked at the area this past week to look it over while we're discussing it. So could you tell us a little bit about the construction of the, what have you got, 9 buildings laid out there?
Yes, sir. It'll just be single level, drive up, climate controlled, self-storage.
Building materials, roof pitch, stuff like that?
As far as roof pitch, we don't have anything as far as outlined that far along. As far as building materials, it would just be your standard metal construction, metal roll-up doors for climate-controlled self-storage. But as far as the roof pitch or anything like that, we're not quite that far along yet.
Okay, and so you saw or you heard in the discussion with access would be from the Martin Road?
Yes, sir. That's our intention. The
Okay.
current.
All right. So you're
driving.
good with that. So tell me about how are you going to enclose the property?
Yes, sir. We would finish.
Tell me about what your style. How are you going to do it?
Traditionally, just 6 foot tall chain link fence around the property with a gated access there. You can kind of see the black line across our drive aisle there. We'd have
Okay.
a gate there.
All right. And what about the residential house that's on Martin Road right there? Is that y'all are going to subdivide? Y'all are going to keep that, or are you going to?
No, sir. We're not purchasing that property.
Okay. Okay. So the area that you're building in is, across the street's a church, and across Martin Road is another church, and there's a big garden home subdivision to the north and a lot of residential to the south. And there's not quite a commercial property like this unless you go all the way up Chalkville Mountain Road or all the way down it. So, and the character of the neighborhood, what you described doesn't quite meet it. So I'm curious, and I think I was curious about your architecture about that. So, so that was the reason for my questioning about that.
Yes, sir. Something else I'd like to point out, too, and I don't know if it says it on our site plan, but our gravel lot, our intention is not to have a gravel parking lot. We're going to have asphalt drive aisles there in front of our office, as well as throughout the facility. It'll be an asphalt drive aisle. That was just for clarification on the site plan.
Okay. Well, before I go a little bit further, I'll give the other commissioners a chance Anybody have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. You're building traditional mini warehouses. Asphalt lot, chain link fence around it.
Not an asphalt lot.
Gravel lot.
Asphalt lot. That's what I just clarified.
So let me rephrase it. What is the base? What am I driving on? Is it going to be gravel? Okay.
Asphalt.
Asphalt, metal buildings, roll-up doors, tin roofs, but you're going to climate control it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just so I have in my head exactly what you're doing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Howard, do y'all have site plans or architectural plans with you today that we can see?
No, sir. We don't have any architectural plans with us.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is John Hampton. I'm a partner of Wood
So give us your address, too.
Sure. It's 595 Blue Teal Court, Atlanta, Georgia, 30327. So I just wanted to expand a little bit on the product that we're building here. So we've got, we own about 400,000 square feet of self-storage, in various markets. What we build is really a Class A climate-controlled, drive-up climate-controlled product. So a lot of what you guys are used to seeing is the old non-climate drive-up, ratty metal building kind of, stuff. That's not what we're doing. As far as, our offerings here are all climate control, 100%. Our first building will have a brick facade on building 7, and we've actually even looked at potentially doing an angled building up to kind of shield some of that and have that brick facade kind of come across and kind of up kind of towards where Pond 1 is on the site plan there. So when you're driving by, it's giving the impression of an enclosed facility, and you have a brick facade on that. Obviously, we have security fencing that goes around it. The fence will not be in front of it. The fence will attach kind of to where Building 7 is on this side, and if we do kind of that, other building coming up there, it would attach there and kind of come around the back. So a lot of what you're seeing is shielded from the view when you're driving.
Okay. So would you mind, Michael, you got the laser pointer? Would you outline where the chain link fence is going to be?
Yep. So right here, so what we were saying, and again, this is what we're working with our site designer right now, is to potentially have this building kind of come here like this. So you have kind of one angled building here with this being a brick facade, this being a brick facade. Obviously, as Wyatt said, this is all asphalt. We don't have a gravel. This is not a gravel parking lot. So when you're coming around, you're kind of seeing that. The fence, you're going to have a security, gated, entry gate here. So your fence would come up here and would go around the property here, and then it would connect. In the event we put that, kind of do this, it would connect here. Otherwise, it would come down and connect here.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that explanation. And you know that residences are to the north and to the east of that property.
Yeah, and so we have, per the recommendation, of staff, a 40-foot, vegetative buffer in here to, shield, residences' views from back there. This, part of our pond here, this is also, kind of a wooded area right in there. So,
yes.
And if it's something that you guys want to look at, I mean, we don't have an issue putting a buffer, whether it's Leland's or whatever the street codes are.
Okay. So that all sounds really good. So what I'm inclined to do is add a condition to this that if the zoning is approved by the commission, that you return to us with architectural plans showing what you described, and for approval before you construct.
As far as the building materials, or?
Well, what you described, and then we'd like to see the building materials. So maybe an elevation view and some architectural.
Yeah, and so I mean, on our roofs, I mean, these are not, we don't use screw down roofs. We use standing seam roofs, which will be, I mean, I'll defer to the engineer, but would likely be shedded back away from view.
Okay. So, I mean, so it's pretty simple. You wouldn't have to go back to the commission again for that. You just come to us. It'd be a one-stop approval.
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend.
And one thing I want to clarify, make sure we're all looking at this correctly. Is this the pointer?
Yeah.
This property is currently zoned C2. Self-storage is a use, I'm sorry, C1. Self-storage is a use as of right, as it stands today. We're only rezoning this parcel here from CP to C1 to then align with this. We're not, this isn't a rezone. This is, I just provided this to show our entire plan. We're only rezoning this parcel here.
I understand.
If that makes sense. Yeah, I just want to clarify.
Yeah, I'm clear. I mean, I know the area well, so I mean, I know that the owner of the property, or the owners of the property had been seeking, a high-end drugstore for that corner for some time. So, but would you be agreeable to bringing that back to us for approval, just describing, the layout and the design that you described?
Yeah, and just so I'm clear, you just want to see kind of a site plan showing the fence, what we talked about, and then some architectural, photographs or renderings or something similar.
Yes.
To what would, yeah.
In color.
That's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
Okay, something like, a typical, this is what you typically build, and this is what it would look like.
Yeah, we don't.
I mean, because the character of this area is, like I said, in this general area, I mean, it's not the best part of Birmingham, but it's a really good part. And just throwing that, at first my reaction was it sounded like you were going to put chain link fence all the way around it. And it was going to be like a prison. So
No.
And that's not what we want. So
and look, I mean, we're happy to show you pictures of some of our other buildings. I mean, we're building a $13 million facility in Savannah right now. So I mean, this one is, I mean, we're not going to put millions of dollars in something and put a chain link fence around it. Sure. If you want
to take a look at some of their other stuff.
You're welcome to do that if you want. So if you silo.
Yeah. Before we do that, Michael, I had a couple of concerns.
Sure.
One of my concerns is the fire department access inside the complex. It's tight. So what is your plans as far as providing fire department access, and that's a gated property, and you said it's got a security gate. How would the fire department have access to that site?
They would have, I assume they have the code. Yeah, they have the code to that. So we have a facility in Monroe, Georgia that's about 80,000 square feet. It's a single-story facility. We actually have two lots. We have two different gates there. Fire department, very similar. They come in, they have access. I mean, this is something per code with the fire marshal you have to work out with them. So they come in, all our turn lanes. Normally, on a lot of these facilities, you'll see 25-foot turn lanes. We generally, or drive aisles, ours are generally 30, and then we have, I think, 35, maybe even 40 on some of the outside. So
we're talking about distance codes, if you've got that, or?
Yes.
Okay, it looks tight, just looking at your site plan here.
You can zoom in, yeah. So these are 30.
And will you have fire hydrants within the complex?
I'll have to defer to our civil engineer, and we would
have to have one provided or know where the existing ones are.
Yeah, I mean, our other facilities all have fire hydrants, so I do not see why we would not have one here. So, yeah. I mean, obviously we would comply with all the regulations of the fire marshal and fire department, and we've certainly done that in the past for other facilities. So yeah, these are 30 in here, 30 foot. I think that's 40. In this plan, I mean, there may be slight variations once we get into some plans and stuff. This is really meant to be a conceptual, as close as we can get now for zoning. But yeah, I mean, obviously we, in all of these, I mean, one thing that's very important to us is, the flow. And a lot of times you see in storage facilities where you have them here, 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 and they're all jammed around. You can't get through there. So,
well, in looking at this floor plan, it looks like a fire truck would have a difficult time coming straight in and making any of those turns to get back out. Is my concern.
If we can zoom in.
One thing I want to point out, and a lot of this has to do with the type of construction, given the square footage, because these aren't residential units. No one's living in these. So I think some of the requirements, and I do not know, I think 2018 IBC code off the top of my head, but whatever the fire department requirement would be they would have full access and be able to.
I mean, I know in Monroe, and we're happy to pull that up and show it to you if you want. We have 30-foot drive aisles all the way around our buildings. I mean, it's kind of laid out like this, but it's 30 feet all around. And a lot of these properties, like I said, have a lot less, but it's something that the customer likes, and also keeps people from ramming inside of your buildings too when they're driving box trucks. If you guys would like to see, I'm happy to pull up the website and show you.
So that's a good plan. We've got a little bit of time. We can do that. Okay, and look at them, and if everybody's agreeable, if we can do something like a condition that it's comparable to or comparable to the plans that you presented here for the architecture, and you won't have to come back.
Okay.
That sound okay, Michael?
Sounds great.
Yeah. So let's put 400 Mayfield Drive.
The easiest way to say this is your road frontage part, if you can make it as much CP, commercial professional building type thing, where it has a good frontage to it. So.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the interior buildings would be metal facade, but I mean, we electively want to brick on the outside. Yeah. And so I can show you, and we've tried to keep the same kind of, a lot of the same color things here, but.
I typed in the address, that's what I did. There's a URL. Just do a regular Google search.
Try Silos self-storage.com.
Michael, if you just
Silos self-storage.
Yeah. Just Google the address, you can get to Google Earth from there.
There's facility Monroe. I believe our management company has. You can scroll through. There would be. Well, I mean, those are. That's but.
Can I clarify just for myself? Are these interior access or exterior access on the self-storage?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So,
I know he said climate control. I know the only ones I've ever had that are climate control are interior access. That's what I was trying to understand.
And one of the most desirable products in the industry you can offer to consumers is drive-up climate.
Yeah.
So you don't see it, right? And so what we do is some of these buildings would be would not have a hallway corridor. They would just back up, so there'd be a unit coming through. You have a duct sock going through that climatizes them. Only exterior access. Some of the buildings, and this is something we've kind of figured out when we were doing our unit mix, would have a hallway. So if you have a 40-foot wide building, 45-foot wide building, you have a 5-foot corridor in the middle. You have 2 20-foot bays. And so what we would have is, interior access units, exterior access units. Some of them we put demising walls in, so you can only have like a 10 by 10 and a 10 by 10 drive up and 10 by 10 interior, and then some of them we call tunnel units, which we have doors on both sides, which people like because obviously if you pile a bunch of stuff in there, you can't get to the back, so you have another door where you can come out.
And that's just all going to be dependent upon how you can lay it out. But ultimately, some of them will be exterior access, some of them will be interior access, correct?
We try to maximize.
I'm just asking because that's what you're showing me here.
Yeah, no, and well, it's both. And again, on a 9,000 square foot pad, we can do either one.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it'll be a mixture.
Okay.
We just want to look comparable to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
With the church being across the street, make it look nice and not like it's a prison.
There's a good example. If you go down like a block to, I think it's called Apple Park. It's a professional office park.
Right.
At the traffic light going up the hill towards Trussville. And
I mean, what we would.
I was just going to say, there used to be a bank there, and they closed the bank, and a car wash bought it. It doesn't look like a car wash. It looks like a bank. So.
Well, and some of these multi-story ones we build look like courthouses too.
Yeah, and that, just kind of get the idea. So, like the facade, like with the brick little bit of brick facade in there or something like that, but you said you were going to maybe look at moving one of the buildings to back or front the property?
I don't have it. Ideally, because that's part of what we want to do is provide, visibility, right, on the road. And
Yes.
so having that come there and having the other building kind of come up, and our civil's working on this right now, is, we would brick the front of that, possibly, we would like to put maybe some faux doors on the front, and then those units, whether that's a 15, 20-foot wide building, they're just access from the interior.
Can I ask? I think I can get us there maybe real quickly by asking a couple small questions.
Okay.
From what y'all just showed me there, it looks like y'all are attempting to have a premium product as it pertains to mini storage units, correct? So obviously for a premium product, you'd want to attract premium customers.
That's right.
So your construction would be consistent with that attraction level.
Absolutely. We're 100%, on-site managed. We do not have a kiosk. Where you run into trouble with these things is when you have off-site managers and you have a kiosk and nobody is there walking the property. Our managers, and we use different professional management companies, they are required to walk the property numerous times a day, pick up trash, look at all the units, check all the doors, make sure nobody's sleeping in there, nobody's doing stuff they should not be doing.
Answers every question. It's your business model is important as it pertains to how this is going in.
We're 100% on
Understood.
on-site personnel.
So how do we capture that without them having to come back with drawings?
I mean, I think if you,
We're-
other than to just say consistent with their other properties, I don't know exactly what specific language you can add to that.
Would you guys be okay if we agreed to put a brick facade on the building facing the street? On that portion of it? Would that solve-
And like no chain link on the frontage part?
Yeah, provided that we can put that building there,
Yes.
I wouldn't have a huge issue, but we have to secure the property.
I understand. I just frontage wise. So, just like he said, when we drive by it, we'd like to see a nice property and not a fortress.
Yeah, and look, that's our intent, we would do that anyway, but,
So- if you'd rather bring the plans back and let us review and approve them, that's perfect, but I'm trying to be accommodating.
Yeah, no, I don't really see an issue with that. I want to make sure if there's, I think that should be fine. I just want to make sure because our civil hasn't laid everything out, but I don't see why we couldn't. That's what we're looking at doing now.
Okay. I just said not chain link. That means you could do, wood fencing or something like that.
Yes,
So-
yes, we would be fine.
So, all right. You want to let Commissioner Blankenship make the motion?
I'm not. Y'all make it because I wouldn't want. I don't know how to put the conditions on there.
Okay. All right.
I would just do it without conditions and trust that they can get down the way
All right.
And we're happy to provide links to our other facilities too, if you want to see that.
Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? All right. Can I have a motion, please?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Z24-0060 with the following conditions. A 40-foot landscape buffer be maintained on the north side of the property, and a landscape plan of the buffers shall be approved by the Development Services Department, and any and all outdoor lighting shall be directed downward away from any residential properties. And the recommendation is that you can keep it consistent with your other projects, and it blends into the neighborhood.
Can I ask for an amendment to
That's
that?
not a condition, that's a recommendation.
Okay. Well, so how about a condition that the property fronting Chalkville Mountain Road is I'm working on this, a character that is similar to the professional buildings in the area.
Are they?
Michael?
Again, the property along Chalkville Mountain Road is not subject to the zoning case. This is only related to that piece behind the CP. Everything else is already zone C1.
I understand.
But again, you can't put.
I don't think legally.
I don't think legally you can put conditions on property that's not a question.
Yeah, that was a recommendation, not a
Right.
condition.
Okay. Got a motion?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Would you call the roll, please?
Jay Miller,
Yes.
Tracy Forsythe,
Yes.
Joseph Andrews,
Yes.
Joel Blankenship,
Yes.
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 I'm the no. Vote is 8-1 in favor. Motion passes. So combined with this, we have a subdivision case, S240099.
Okay. Bear with me just 1 second, sorry. As mentioned, this is the same property we just heard on the
Sorry,
rezoning case.
S240101. I called the wrong number.
Wrong one.
No, I didn't call the wrong number. You got the wrong one up there. I called the right number. S240099. I've got it right here in my hand. It is the right one.
For some reason it's not in there.
Keep going. In the middle. There it is. There it is.
I pass it?
There.
There we go. Sorry about that. This is the concurrent subdivision case for the property we just heard for the rezoning. This is to take 3 acreage tracts into 2 lots of record for commercial use. And it does comply with all C1 and CP zoning requirements. I'm trying to get my notes here. Eventually, I'll find it. Both lots shall have only access from Martin Road. There is no right-of-way dedication that's required on this. There's no floodplain. And there is sanitary sewer available to this property, so environmental services must approve and sign the final plat. Staff does recommend approval for this 2-lot subdivision.
Okay, any opposition to this subdivision case? Any questions from the commissioners for the applicant? May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion of approval for case S2400. Whoa, is that correct up there? 99?
All right, I have a motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Next case is zoning case Z240062. Is that the one we already? Okay. All right, so that concludes our business.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Y'all go home and be safe with the weather.